Okay guys, let's do this. It has been a huge 12 hours of Arsenal news. We're going to speak about Declan Rice, about Arsenal's massive bid, Manchester City seemingly pulling out of the race. We're going to talk through it all. But first, I just want to say thank you so much to everyone who subscribed yesterday. I spoke about having that 50,000 subscriber goal for June. We have gone beyond that, which is amazing. I think we might be on for 51,000. Let's aim higher. Let's keep going. It's a little dopamine kick for me every time someone clicks that subscribe button. So chuck me that. I appreciate it. So, Declan Rice. Wow. Where to begin? Let's begin last night. The exclusive story from David Ornstein. £100 million guaranteed sum to West Ham from Arsenal. A further £5 million in potential add-ons. £105 million. Record fee potentially for a British player. I told you in yesterday's video I thought Arsenal would come in soon and come in big. Even so, I was a bit taken aback by the sheer size of this offer. You know, it's not long ago that the idea of Arsenal paying £100 million for a player seemed unthinkable. But the spending habits have changed since we've had 100% ownership. The backing of the manager is absolutely there. We'll come on to that. And this was a big offer, designed, I think, to effectively close the deal. Now, it wasn't accepted straight away. But if you watched my video a couple of days ago about how transfer deals are actually done, I'll try and link that somewhere here. You're not always looking to have your offer accepted. You're just looking to make an offer that is big enough, that is sufficient for the selling club to go, well, okay, there's a deal here. We'll hammer out the final few clauses. We might negotiate on a couple of points, but effectively we're not going to reject your offer. We're going to take it and enter it into a sort of a more intense period of close negotiation, collaboration, really, to get to a final agreement. I think as soon as Arsenal dropped that 105 million on West Ham's door, I think we were basically into that end game. Did I think Man City would come in yesterday morning? Yeah, I did, but there were noises I heard throughout yesterday that made me increasingly believe they might not. I think ultimately for them to come in and rival Arsenal for this player, they needed to have his 100% commitment. I think they needed Declan Rice to say, I want Man City above all else. And in the end, he did not do that. I think effectively Declan Rice chose Arsenal over Manchester City here. And that is a huge thing for Arsenal, which we will come on to. The briefing and the reporting that you're reading around Man City is kind of their customary message. It's that thing of, well, look, we don't want to get into a bidding war, which is very high and mighty, given that about 2 days ago they effectively entered a bidding war. But they have their valuation on players. They do try and be disciplined, which I guess you need to do when your funds are sort of effectively infinite. They don't need Declan Rice as much as Arsenal do. That much is clear. Arsenal were desperate for this deal to happen. And I think you have to give Arsenal credit. They've put together an offer where they've significantly increased upon their last offer. And they've put it in such a place that West Ham are prepared to say, well, I think we probably need to take that or take something close to it, a version of it. And Man City have looked at it and said, well, I don't think we're prepared to go there. So Arsenal have put down a deal closing offer here. Yes, the fine points need to be negotiated. There are issues over the speed of the payments to West Ham. But what are West Ham going to do? Turn around and sell them to someone else? Bayern have pulled out the race because the player wanted Arsenal. Man City have pulled out the race because the player wanted Arsenal, and they say the fee has gone beyond what they're prepared to pay. It's Arsenal or nothing now, West Ham. So those negotiations, Arsenal have a lot more power in them than they have at any point in this process, really. The last couple of weeks, the power had slightly slipped away from Arsenal as City came on the scene and looked like a really appealing alternative for Declan Rice. I think he would have gone there had they struck a deal with West Ham. I think he would have been crazy to turn them down. But it looks like his preference throughout has remained Arsenal. And that is a huge boon, huge credit to the club. I think ultimately City haven't been able to secure the will of the player. I think if they had the will of the player, they would have been able to drive a harder bargain with West Ham. So now we are into that end game. Who knows how long it will take? Who knows how difficult West Ham will be? I think they know they're onto a good thing with this £105 million deal. And I imagine an agreement will be reached within the next few days. Arsenal will, I think, be amenable to certain changes, and West Ham will be realistic now about what can be achieved. I think they know they've already done well in the situation. One question I've been asked is, why did it take Arsenal so long for this final offer to come in? There was a bit of a gap between the second offer and the third offer. I think the first reason is just that it's an astronomical sum of money, and for Arsenal to actually put that in writing, there would have been a lot of hoops for them to jump through in terms of securing funding, authorisation from board, from ownership, and some of those processes are not straightforward. I think time zones are a factor, and I think maybe a degree of deliberation. No company in its right mind, I don't care how big a business, parts with £100 million or more without serious consideration, without serious deliberation and thought. Arsenal will have really, really, really examined this, discussed it, and I think through all those discussions, Mikel Arteta particularly, and Edu as well, have been emphasising to the board, look, this is the right thing for us to do. We need this player in this position. He's the right person for the project. And credit to the club, they have delivered. And I think it was in Arsenal's intention, as I say, to make this a deal closing offer, one that effectively took City out of the picture and weakened West Ham's resolve. They could have gone in a little bit higher and done it, on a fourth bid or a fifth bid. But I think with City's interest, they just thought, no, we need to come in and clear this out. And they have done. I also think there was an element maybe of wanting to wait and let Man City show their hand. City came in and matched Arsenal's 90 million bid, and maybe that gave Arsenal a sense, a ballpark of what City's valuation was. And it meant that they could say, right, well, they're about there. If we come in about there, that could take them out of the picture. And it appears to have worked for them. So this will mean a lot if Arsenal can get this over a line. It already means a lot, to be honest. For Arsenal to beat City in the auction, the bidding war, is significant. I think you can't underestimate the trauma of what happened with Mykhailo Mudryk in January. I think it's a trauma we all felt among the fan base. And I think it's a trauma I know it's a trauma that was felt internally as well. I think Arsenal put so much effort, so much groundwork into that deal, months and months of, charming, coaxing, negotiating, dialogue, and they lost it at the last minute. And it was a cruel blow. And I think there was a real determination to not suffer that fate again, particularly to Manchester City, because having lost out on the title to City, to lose out on the key summer signing would have really compounded the blow. How do you catch the team that just beaten you to the Premier League if they then go and take the player who you see as absolutely integral to your plans for the forthcoming season? So I'm not one of those people who's like, the transfer window is everything. What happens on the pitch next season is the season, right? We can't win this pre-season, but I think it would have struck us a real blow to lose Declan Rice to City. And I think, who knows, maybe it's a bit of a boost, a bit of a fillip. I think it says a lot about where the club are, that any player, whatever their personal circumstances, is prepared to choose Arsenal over Man City at this point in time. That shows how far we've come. Again, a couple of years ago, that would have been unthinkable. Declan Rice would be carted off to an asylum probably about now. But you can make, and indeed I have made, cogent arguments for why Arsenal is the right club for him, and why it's somewhere that he can ultimately fulfil his ambitions. And for us to be able to say that as Arsenal fans is a fantastic thing. So it's big for three reasons, right, this deal. Reason number one, Arsenal have beaten City in the bidding war. The fact we're able to do that, the fact that the owners have sanctioned it, the fact we can afford it now with Champions League revenue again, that is huge. Rice has effectively chosen Arsenal over City here. If he really wanted to make a move to City happen, I'm sorry, he could have made it happen. He was wanted Arsenal all along. City have come in, and it's not been enough to turn his head. That is massive as well. And then there's the final point, which is what this demonstrates about the club's faith in the current project, and maybe particularly in the current manager. For them to sanction expenditure of this size, and there's a debate to be had about the merit of paying that sum. Is it the right thing to do? Is Declan Rice the right player? I happen to think he probably is, and I think that the symbolic value of this is enormous. But for the club to say, okay, Mikel, this is your man. You want him above all others. We'll do it. We'll do it. We'll do it at big, big cost. I think that's huge. We know the faith is there. They've backed him previously, but never quite to this degree. 100 million guaranteed fee. Wow. And if this was the only deal Arsenal were talking about doing in this transfer window, I'd still be saying that. But they're also looking at doing Kai Havertz, Jurrien Timber. Collectively, that's going to take the spending to over £200 million. We are still in June. It's an outstandingly effective start to the window from Arsenal. They have been swift, they have wasted no time, they have moved effectively, efficiently. I'm impressed, I'm encouraged, I'm very excited. Bit of work to get this over the line, but we are effectively in a one-horse race at this point in time. So something tells me that agreement will be reached. We're in the end game. Rice is cooking. Edu's grilling it, unusually. But yeah, really good day for Arsenal, and another good day to come when this is ultimately agreed. And I think that is absolutely where we're headed. And I'm sure we'll speak again then. Thanks for all the support, guys. Please do subscribe. We can all breathe a little bit easier today. Bye-bye.